All right, folks, hey, welcome back to the program. Thanks so much for being with us. You've already heard me talk about this once, but next week is the National Apprenticeship Week, and that's where we have this employer forum that's going to take place in Northeast Arkansas and Jonesboro at the First National Bank Arena. That's Tuesday, November 12th from 8:30 to 12. So a little morning there. There's going to be a special guest. Lieutenant Governor Tim Griffin will be in attendance. Joining us now on the line, I have Mark McManus with the Division of Workforce Services. Mark, how are you this morning? Nice to meet you, sir.
Oh, very nice to meet you as well. Thank you for having me.
So what can you tell us a little bit about this event? What do you hope to accomplish?
Oh, absolutely. Well, this event is really tailored to those that have an interest or potential interest in what is this thing we call registered apprenticeship, and how does it impact what I do as an employer in terms of recruiting talent and retaining talent. So during the meeting, we are going to be having some experts in the room, subject matter experts, if you will, that can really speak to kind of what the modern registered apprenticeship means for us today. And I use the word modern because we typically think about registered apprenticeship in the construction trades with electricians and plumbers and carpenters and many of those skilled trades occupations, which it is, but it really affects many industries today and many occupations. So during the meeting, there will be some panelists, a facilitated discussion that will kind of be able to share their experience around registered apprenticeships in their various organizations and how it has impacted them in a positive way. And then we're going to have a representative from USDOL, Department of Labor, Registered Apprenticeship Office State Director. His name is Mr. Lee Price, and Lee is going to be there at the meeting to talk about sort of national trends and environment and how he will be able to assist employers that might have an interest in registered apprenticeship. So we're hoping this will be, informational, kind of an awareness about registered apprenticeship, and we hope people come and ask whatever questions they like to ask, and hopefully we can give them some answers.
And now this is designed, at least the goal, right, is to kind of address, is it to address a skilled workforce shortage that we have, or this idea that we folks need to learn vocational skills and maybe not necessarily put all their eggs in that 4-year college degree, or is there a gray area there?
Yeah, that's a great point. Certainly our university system and community colleges provide excellent educational opportunities for many through either a 4-year degree path or an associate degree, in some cases a technical certificate through the community colleges. But there's also opportunities for other individuals that, maybe that doesn't necessarily, fit their niche. So that's part of what we want to be able to share to, those job seekers and even, it can be more experienced people that currently are employed and may be looking for, another career path option that registered apprenticeship could be that option.
Yeah. Can you got to go through the process? Like, how would that look? So if there's a business that would be interested in,
absolutely,
how do they go about that? And does that apprenticeship eventually roll over for the person who's the apprentice? Does that roll over into a full-time salary position? What typically happens? Go ahead.
Yeah, so I might just back up a little bit on that question. Hopefully I'll address it in my comments here, but one of the things that we want to be sure to communicate to the attendees at the forum and the public in general, quite frankly, is my agency, the Division of Workforce Services, has been fortunate to receive some U.S. Department of Labor federal grant awards. We've been working those grants a couple of years now. We have about a year remaining in each of those, 2 active grants that are really targeted for registered apprenticeship expansion in the state. So really what that means is for a employer who may say, I'm learning more about registered apprenticeship, that it might be a fit in my organization. We're having trouble recruiting and retaining talent. How would these federal dollars be able to assist my company? And my answer to that would be that we can offset some of the training cost that would be associated with that. So the federal dollars could be used to support some of that training that's involved. There's always training costs associated with whatever path you take, but if it's a registered apprenticeship path, then the training dollars can support that. And then just kind of the process is, it's not a burdensome process, and we're trying to, at the state level, Division of Workforce Services, my colleagues over at the Office of Skills Development, which is another state agency within the broader Department of Commerce. Our government has undergone a reorg, and we've got a Department of Commerce that has a lot of agencies geared around economic development and workforce development. So there's some support for employers to, let's not worry about, any government red tape. You have some partners that can help you with that, and we want to be able to share that information in the forum and get people interested. It's not a silver bullet.
Right.
There's all, but at least we want to make people aware that, it is a tool in the tool belt that you might want to consider.
We're talking with Mark McManus, Division of Workforce Services. There is an event next week, which is November. Well, actually, it's Tuesday, Tuesday,
Correct.
November 12th. So it's coming up 8:30 to 12, First National Bank Arena. Special guest there will be Lieutenant Governor Tim Griffin. I understand there's going to be a panel there on the more broader subject. Mark, we're talking with Mark McManus. Why do you think we've come to this point where you even have to have programs like this? And I know that's a loaded question. I'm not saying obviously there's a problem. There are people out there trying to address it. There's different ideas. But it just, in the past, when it came time to go to work, people would go to work, but there are employers that have a legitimate problem finding employees that can do these skilled tasks, if you will. So what do you think got us to this point?
Yeah, that is a very good question, and we hear, from employers all the time about, the challenges and difficulties that they experience with, in the recruitment process and getting qualified workers. Some of the incoming applicants may not have, the skill sets that are needed for particular jobs, or they're not really work-ready prepared, which can include a number of things. But I think kind of where we're at in our current economy is that, there is an opportunity through registered apprenticeship, since it is an employer-driven type of workforce development tool. And what I mean by that is, for a given occupation, the employer can say, these are the skill sets that I need. That can be developed through what is called a standards of apprenticeship, and I don't want to bore people with a lot of government sort of terminology, but it's standards that are developed around a given occupation. The employer sets those with assistance from the Office of Apprenticeship that can help guide you through that process. That's one of the partnerships I mentioned earlier that would help with this. And the employer can actually, sort of drive that whole workforce development process to suit their particular need, which in some cases, in the past, and we continue to do it, and it works to some degree, and in some cases it does not, where we're relying on the educational system to produce, various expertise and degreed individuals, which is good, but, in some cases it may not be that exact skill set that's desired in, the employment world. So, these activities are not necessarily mutually exclusive. There are cases where a degreed person can also become, a registered apprenticeship person.
Yes.
They can work in tandem. So I think with our tight labor market, employers are just sort of challenged with, I still have some needs with my workforce. I still need to bring in talent. How do I get there? So it's just, one of the things that I think Registered Apprenticeship offers value for that.
The employer forum, folks, you need to save the date. If you're interested, if you're a business owner out there, Tuesday, November 12th, 8:30 to 12, First National Bank Arena. Special guest, Lieutenant Governor Tim Griffin will be there. There'll be a panel. Mark McManus, I appreciate it, sir. Thank you so much for spending some time with us this morning.
Absolutely. And if I could, I'd like to just add one other thing.
Yes, sir.
For the folks that would be interested in attending, and we hope you all do, would like for you to register, if you would, online. We have an Eventbrite, and that's BRITE.com website. You can search the Jonesboro event under the Business Services category, and just click on that link and register. We'd be glad to see you.
All righty. We appreciate it, Mark. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you very much.
All righty, folks, back in a minute.